Go ahead and start fresh. I'm going to remove my old project to prove to you guys that this can be done. Delete it. Now I'm going to go ahead and run my setup to create a new project. npx create react app r-imdb. The reason why I choose to call everything R is because I got a shit ton of projects on my machine and I forget. Some projects are Python, some are Go, some are Rails. This is my naming convention. Eventually we all come up with our own naming convention, how we order things. So I'm going to move into r.imdb. I'm going to run yarn start. You guys can see that whenever we run that command, we start up our server and we get our default application. Sweet. Did I open this? I'm going to open up my code editor, and you guys can see it's the same a template for everything. So I'm just going to delete everything in here because we don't need it. Let's say IMDB, just to start it off, delete this thingy because we don't need that. Okay, we're good to go. So we see that we have IMDB here. Okay, so I told you guys I want you guys to learn Bootstrap, and I mean it. So we're just going to go ahead and install it right now. I'm going to stop the server, and I'm going to install Bootstrap. When you guys run this command, you guys also have to import it. This line right here that I'm highlighting is equivalent of this line. I'm just going to take the first one because it's shorter. I'm going to jump back to app.css. I'm going to paste it above my own my own CSS because I don't want this to overwrite my CSS, right? We save it. We jump back. We can see that it's still installing. Let's just go ahead and look at our components as we're waiting. So what's one of the first things we like building, guys? Probably navbar. I would say so. It's the easiest victory, okay? Programming is about little victories, okay? Get a little victory at first. So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it right here. Once I paste it, you guys see VS Code throwing up a bunch of complaints, right? Well, the reason why VS Code is complaining is saying, hey man, you don't have this library yet, you don't have this component yet, you don't have a component by this name, so we need to import it. So all you gotta do is import this thing from React Bootstrap. I think that works. And 1 second, I'm sorry it's taking a while to download. Fuck, man, it's taking forever. Okay, we're good to go. So now you can run yarn start, and we're gonna see a complaint. It's gonna start complaining. So you guys can see it's complaining here about nav is not defined. That always means that you just need something. And what do we need here? Well, we need to import, okay? We need to import right here. And this syntax becomes more complicated in the future, okay? But right now, just know that you can import on a single line for multiple components or multiple things that you import on multiple lines, or you can do on one line. So you could also do import, use this bracket right here. It's called destructuring. And I don't know what we need. We need nav dropdown or something. And now it can be done on one line. So we'll import it from React-Bootstrap. You save it. Now it's complaining about form control, button. Okay, this is basically the same syntax. Does that make sense, everyone? On line 6, we're importing multiple things from this library called React Bootstrap. Okay, but on line 2 and 3, we're importing one thing from React Bootstrap, a specific component. So this is on line 6 is how you can grab multiple things out of there. So I would prefer that you do this one because when you guys use React Bootstrap, you're never ever going to use just one of them. Never. That's never going to happen. So don't import one at a time is my suggestion. So you save it. Now we can see that our nav works. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Amazing. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do? Now we need to, I don't know, get some data. So we need to make an API request, and eventually we're gonna stick that somewhere. So let's just go ahead and work. You guys, we'll work outside in, okay? Or we can work inside out, but I'm gonna work outside in this time. So we're gonna define a function. We're gonna call it get movies. Is this gonna be a function as, you know, this syntax right here? I'm gonna do it on multiple lines for legibility. So I'm gonna say, it needs to be an asynchronous function, and we need to await something, and await to a fetch to something, right? I don't remember what this is. Thank God I saved it on my thingy, okay? I saved it inside of Postman. I want you guys to do this yourselves. So now I can just paste it now. So I'm gonna do const response equals, and let's just see what is inside of this bad boy. Okay, I save it. I jump back over here, I refresh the application. Why do we not see a console log here? Yes, we need to get this function to fire somehow, to execute somehow. The get movies functions, we need that to fire. So that's why we're gonna introduce this thing called use effect. Okay, we use effect, and then inside of use effect, the first argument is what? Okay, so what's the function we want to call? So the first argument is get movies. The second argument is an empty bracket for right now. So we save it, you guys will see now that we got the response, okay? So you guys have seen the syntax where you go like this. You've seen that syntax, right? The reason why we'll do this is because later on, use effect will call many other functions. So this would also work. But this time we'd have to add a parentheses because we need to fire the component. But the first time, the reason why I do not add parentheses is because if I do that, it executes immediately. And it throws an error. Okay? So just know that you can pass it this way, but you cannot execute it immediately. You need to make sure it's just, the function is called referenced. We've referenced the function. It's the first argument to use effect on line 25. We've referenced it and saying, hey, this function right here, the one that I put in this argument right here, take this function and do something with it in a little bit. So for right now, I'm just gonna leave it like this because that works. So you guys can see that we have a response here. Now we need to do more with it. We need to do const data is equal to await response.json. Okay? Then we can just console.log data. If we look at our data, you guys will see now that we have some results in here. How many movies do they have available? Up to 7,000 almost. 327 pages. So the first set of results we get is 20. Okay, so we want the results. And we need to do something with it. We need to add it to our state because the reality is that like when the app first loaded, we didn't have any data. We fired off an API request. We got that data back. The state of our application has changed. We've gotten some new data. So we need to update the state of our application. We're gonna do set movies. And we're gonna pass it data.results. You guys will see that it complains. It's like, what the fuck is set movies? So what it's saying is that we don't have a function defined that updates state. And you cannot define this function ourselves entirely. We need to use something else provided by React called useState. Okay, so in the body of our component, we're gonna define something, an array, right? We're gonna define an array, and we're going to say the first argument is the state variable that we want to have. The second one is the setter function that we want to be able to affect the state. Okay, so let's think about what we have so far. Let's console.log movies. So you guys will see that movies is undefined when the application first loads. Our use effect fires on line 28. And then afterwards, our movies is now a list of 20, is an array of 20 items, okay? So now we're prepared. We can do movies.map, because we want to look at each individual movie and do what? We want to produce some HTML. So we do movies.map, we're gonna take this data, and then we're gonna take each element inside of it, which is a single movie, and then we're gonna produce some HTML. So we pass a function to map, and then we return, and let's start small, forget about everything else, okay? Let's do h1, and we'll do movie.title. And now I suspect we should have an error. So you guys will see that it says you cannot run map on something that is undefined. What are we running map on? Why is movies undefined? The reason why it's null/undefined is because when we initialize it on line 18, we didn't pass it an argument. So it's undefined immediately. We can also say null, but that will leave us at the same problem, okay? We can solve this two different ways, right? If we have it as null right here, we can guard right here. We can say, hey, all right, make sure I have movies first, and then if I do have movies, then map over it. So you guys save it, and you guys will see that we fixed this problem right here, right? But I don't think that's the best way. I'll tell you what the best way is. Instead of guarding all over the place and making your code longer and more difficult to read, give it a reasonable default value. So just give it an empty array. If you map over something that's empty, then it just won't run a single time because there's not a single element in there. So this is almost like a guard, kinda. Okay, it's kinda like a guard. So when you have a variable that you expect to have an array inside of it, give it a default value of an empty array. That's okay. So now you guys will see that we have an entire list of titles, right? Okay, so that's not beautiful. Let's go ahead and make this more beautiful, okay? Let's actually produce a card on each one, okay? So we'll go back to our documentation. We look at our cards. And I'm just gonna take the first one. And then I'm gonna say, okay, let's just return a card. So what do we see the complaint right here? Card is not defined. So I can come back up here, I could copy this line and do it this way, or I can just import it right here. Both of those will work. Okay, well let's make sure that both of them work. Okay, you guys will see that that works, right? Or we can import it from here where we're already importing from Bootstrap, and that also works, right? Okay, so now the problem becomes, we got a bunch of beautiful cards, but we want it to lay out correctly. So I recommend that you guys go to Bootstrap and just look at the examples. Let's go to Bootstrap. We go to documentation. And then you go to, examples. And I like this one right here. This album one is the one I most often use. We have a row of 3 elements, right? If we slide it, you guys will see that they get smaller, and then eventually at a certain breakpoint, they instead of coming to a row, it just becomes a column. So here is the behavior I want. So I'm just gonna right click here. Why can't I right click? Okay, we jump over to elements, and let's just read the code. So we jump over here, look inside of our main, we go down to this section right here. You guys can see when I hover it, Bootstrap is telling us that, like, hey, that's the right place, right? See how it turns blue? Let's look at this. When I hover over this thing called main, the main area shows. If I hover over header, up here, header, you see the header hovers, it turns blue. And this is inside main, and inside of main, what am I looking for, guys? Am I looking at section or this thing right here? This one. So inside of here, you guys see that we have a container, and then a row, and then a bunch of columns. Okay, so that's the basic formula that we need, the basic structure that we need. So outside of our mapping, we need to come up with a div that has a class name of what? Container. And then inside of here, we need to have a div with the class name of row. Okay, now what does each one of these cards need to be wrapped with? Yes, so now we have a div that has a class name of column-md-4. That just means that it will take up 1/3 of the screen up until a medium screen. Below a medium-sized screen, it will take up 12, sorta. So now we just need to move all this inside of there. So we'll cut this, and we'll paste here. We'll format, we save, we can just delete this, we jump back. Did I not save this? Oh, my bad. This needs to go inside of here, my bad. Sorry. Oops. Okay, there we go. So we kind of got it basically going where we want. So we got a bunch of cards being produced. We're getting a card produced for every single movie. Now it becomes time to plug in the values, right? You could have done this either way. So now, just think about this, guys. Do you see how, like, I didn't use movie inside of here anyway, right? So right now, like it's almost like we ignored the movie. We didn't even give a shit about the movie. But that makes absolutely no sense. If we're mapping over an array of objects and wanting to produce like some HTML using that object, we need to capture this object, right? We're capturing it. We're saying, hey, I care about you. And then we're gonna use this object to produce the rest of our HTML. That's correct. So we're just gonna delete the title, do movie.title, we'll save it. And now you guys will see that our titles are injected into every single movie card. Additionally, we need to have a movie image. So we go to the movie database. I don't remember the route for the poster. So I'm going to tell you right now, you got to look at the documentation. So I'm going to go back and go to the API. Where's it at? Can someone paste it? If someone want to do that for me? I don't know where it is. Somewhere in here.
Movie.posterpath. Poster_path.
Okay, so it's right here. We need to do this right here. I don't know what the URL is.
I'll send it to you.
Can you send it in general, please? Okay, so here is the path. This is what we call a base path right here, okay? So they're giving us what we need to get this, right? But we need to change the end of it right here. And we need to put something in there. So now I'm just gonna console log the movie because I don't know what keys are on it, okay? So we'll console log it. Fuck me. We'll open up our console. We can see here's our movies. And inside of here is a poster path, okay? So inside each movie object, we have something called is it background? Which one is it, poster path or backdrop path? Poster path? Okay, so inside each movie object, we have this key called poster path. So we're gonna take that key, and we're simply gonna inject it in the string. Movie.posterpath. We save it. Now my expectation is that we should have images. And we do in fact have images. Nice. Okay, so obviously we need to do the rest here. We're gonna do movie.description. Someone help me out here? Overview, thank you. Movie.overview, and now we have some overviews right here. So you guys will see that that the cards are different lengths. Why is that? Yeah, it's because some of the text is longer than others. You know, like we can't control that. Some people wrote more, some people wrote less. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You guys can truncate it, which Steven suggested, which means that like anything after line 6, we make a little dot thingy, right? That's one way of doing this. Or another way of doing this is giving your cards a minimum height. It has to be at least this height. And the height that it has to be needs to be as big as the biggest one. Okay, at least as big as the biggest one, right? So I'm gonna look at my console. I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna say, okay, card body right here. So the class is card body, right? So now we're gonna go to our app.css. We're gonna say card body. Say minimum height is, I don't know, 400 pixels. We save it, jump back over here. Oops. 1 second. Card body. Okay, and then so we also need to do more with the display flex. I don't like this way. You guys saw the way I like doing it, right? It's in justify content, space around. Oops. Flex direction. Oops. Flex direction column. That kind of works. I don't know this is as beautiful if you ask me, right? Oh, see, so this is the problem right here because you can see that that it has to be at least as high as the highest one. So if I were you, I would figure out how to do it this way. This is where, like, if it gets too long, you just make it scroll. Overflow Y, yeah. So hey, we'll just do it this way. Height is, I don't know, 300 pixels. Overflow Y. Scroll. Thank you. Hi. So you guys jump back over here. You guys will see, where is it at? I don't remember where I'm at. Here it is. If we refresh, if the ones that are too long, it just scrolls. Okay? That's one way of doing it. I don't want to spend too much time styling, okay? So let's go back to one more problem, okay? We want to get more movies, right? So now when we look at our, this is something a couple of you guys have made the same mistake again. It's the same thing as when we did the Google News one, okay? We gotta have a button. There's no way you're gonna tell if a user wants to know more data until you either do something smarter. What's something smarter to be done? What's something you guys would normally have? Infinite scroll, right? If you go to Facebook or you scroll, it just automatically does it. Okay? So now that becomes more complicated. I want to keep it simple. We want to keep it simple right now. Don't worry about infinite scroll right now. Let's just make sure that we know, we follow the correct pattern. But just know that we can get this function to fire by itself once we get better at paying attention to certain events. So right here, you guys see at the bottom, I have a ha ha ha. I'm just gonna name it, give it a button instead. Give it a button. We're gonna say get more. Okay, so what do we want to have happen whenever a user does get more? We want to get more movies, right? And we need to do that by making an API request, and then that API request has to include what? A page number. So now we're gonna have set page number. The logical thing to do is start it off at 1. It makes absolutely no sense to start off a page number at 0. So now we're gonna insert this into our string right here. So we're gonna say I'm gonna delete this, and we're gonna make this string dynamic. So now we save it. Let's make sure we didn't break anything. And everything still works, okay? So now let's click get more. It does not work. The reason why this does not work is because we don't have an on click here. So do on click, and what are we gonna do inside of here? Yes. What is it called again? Get movies. So we're just gonna click that motherfucker. Okay, so will this work? Will this work, guys? So when we console log, we see that the first time we console log, movies is 0, and then it becomes 20. And now I need to delete something over here, my bad. Okay, so when the page first loads, we got an empty array, and then we got 20 movies after the request fired the first time. If we click the button now, we're gonna have 20 more. Does that work? What exactly what Ed just said? The reason why this does not work yet is 2 reasons. First off, whenever we fired this thing, we didn't kick up the page number, right? So it's still on page 1, and I'm gonna prove it to you guys. Let's copy it. Page number, and you guys will see that page number is 1. So when the page first loads, we have no movies. Our page number is 1. We make the API request, our movies renders, and we render the screen again, but our page number is still 1. That means at the bottom of our get movies request, we need to increment our page number. And it's gonna be page number plus 1. Okay, I think this should work. So now guys, we scroll down, our last movie is Cycle. If we click this button, will it work? Sort of works. It gets new movies, but it will replace all the other ones that we just had. We click it, and now you guys can see that each time that this runs, our movies array is only 20 items long. Why is that? Why is that?
We did not add that to the end of the last one.
Exactly. We need to concatenate this. So instead of directly setting, instead of, what are you guys laughing about?
No, but I just fucked around with concatenate.
Yeah. So we're gonna do const new movie data is equal to what? Is equal to what, guys? Movies dot concat data dot results. Now we're gonna take this and update inside of our movies. So we're gonna save it. You guys notice how right now we still have 20 movies. It ran it update to page 2. When I click this button, it's gonna go get some movies. It's gonna take our old movies, and our old movies, our new movies, put them together, and then we're gonna see that our movies thing right here becomes longer. Okay? And additionally, the last thing it will do, we'll see that our page number gets kicked up by 1. Gets kicked up.
Will be 40 or 60 in this next clip?
40. And we do in fact see 40 movies. And I guarantee you the next time I click this, if you guys look at our network right here, we clear it. If we click it again, you guys are gonna see page 3. So we click it, we scroll up. Oh shit. We click right here, look at the headers, and we look at our request URL. What page is it? Okay, so that's how the state, this is how state in our application is useful, right? We need to know what page would we initially looked at. What were the movies we just had? What are the new movies? We're gonna be working with state for the rest of this class. So we gotta understand this, okay? This is like sorta amazing, what I just did in 25 minutes, but obviously this is super, super easy, okay? We need to have more features in this. Okay, I wanna see the search button work, okay? You guys need to research this API. It's a part of your job. Do you have any questions about what we did so far?
How do you get the search input value for React hooks?
Okay, so we can look at our form, and we just look at our documentation. It'll say on change, I believe. And we'll just look at the E, which is the event, and we'll just console.log it. So now if we look at our console, we start typing, we can see that we have E. But we don't want E. We don't want the event. We want the event's target dot value. So then as you start typing, you get some magical stuff here. Hello world, this is something. Okay, what do you do now? Save it in what? What variable? Okay, so where's this variable coming from, guys? Yes. So I do what here? Copy everything down, call this query. We'll say set query. And the default value is this. We click this. And where we're putting it, we're gonna do it right here. Okay, so it looks good to go. So now we're just gonna look at our query. Let's just make sure this works, okay? Query. So now my suspicion is that if I start typing, we should see query console logged a bunch of times and whatever it is we're typing. Oops, I fucked this up. Okay, my bad, yes. Thank you. Fucked this up, sorry. So we're gonna do set query. So we're gonna start typing. Now we can see that this is a piece of our state. Okay, if we go over to React, our components, we click at app right here. You guys see our state right here. This tool is not perfect, okay? React hooks came out 1 year ago. This tool does not tell us which piece of state is which yet, okay? Just know that there's teams of people that are working on making this tool sexier for us, okay? And I'm gonna show you guys more sophisticated tools later on that can support us in more advanced use cases. Okay, so now when we click search, we need that bad boy to fire, okay? So now we can do on submit. So now the form, almost every single form is gonna have this thing called on submit. On submit. And that's gonna take an argument. This is a prop that we pass in, and its argument is gonna be a function. Submitting form. So you guys will see that when I click this, oops, guess I was wrong. Okay, it's time to read the documentation. Say again, what do we need to do? Oh, my bad. Type equals submit. Come on, baby. Let's see whether or not you guys know. Nice. Fucking nice. So we click submit, it fires, it submits the form. Okay, we're not gonna console log. Okay, I guarantee you, this thing right here needs to change. If you want this form to work correctly, this needs to change to something. Tung, what did I just show you?
You're just showing me that we're not going to console log submitting form, we're just going to do something in
Okay. I'm actually shocked that you repeated everything I said. Holy fuck, I'm impressed. Okay, so this is right here. This is how we get the form to submit, okay? We get a submit, we pass it a property called onSubmit. We're gonna pass it a function. I promise you that one. We're not gonna pass it in an object. We're not gonna pass it an array. We're not gonna pass it a string or even a number. It's gonna be a function that we pass it. And the function is gonna do something, okay? All right, so does anyone have any questions? Any more questions? Come on, give me a question, guys. Nói trong tiếng Việt đi nếu mà em muốn hỏi. Any more questions? Any questions, guys?
Why is it, what is the E short for in that scenario?
It means event.
Yeah.
So just know that there's always events occurring on your application, right? Right now there's an event that's paying attention to mouse move. And then whenever I hover over this chord, there's another event that says, oh, card hovered. It's just a ton of this stuff is not useless. It's useful for like internals, right? Like internals. For Chrome, they want to know when you move your mouse from the page to the tab bar. Because thinking about that, you see how my mouse changes? See how that? When I go from the thingy over here up to the nav bar, there's like literally millions of things that your computer is doing per second. Millions as it's running. So just know that like it's like there's a bunch of events. Okay, last time, any questions before we break today? All right, guys, thank you for your time.